Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's just finished. Arsenal 1, West Ham 0 in the quarterfinal of the League Cup. So that's West Ham United's cup run over until the FA Cup. Gonzo, that was a crap game.
It was awful. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. It was the worst game. I can't think of a worse game, actually. I think it was, in many respects, it was worse than Everton, even though we lost 4-0 in that one. It was boring. It was insipid. We couldn't pass. Can't remember a string of. It wasn't just a defeat. It was the manner of the defeat. There were no attacks. You could say there were 0 shots on target, but that gives the impression that there were lots of shots off target. There weren't. It was absolutely awful. We're dysfunctional in every single department. It has to be said. Awful. Terrible.
Charlie, did David Moyes send out a sort of signal with the starting lineup? No Arnautovic, no Zabaleta. Creswell out of position at right wing back, but didn't have many players he could draft in, but it was very much a second string feel to it.
Yeah, and he obviously had to make rotations due to fitness and that, but then you look at just how many defenders were on the pitch, and it was just, it was mad. It spread into the midfield to the point where we had so few attacking people that it just felt like there were a few times we did manage to get forward, which only happened through Masuaku, basically. There were like 3 people in their box to their just 4 defenders and their midfield. It was, we sent out a very clear message that, or it felt to me at least, that David Moyes was very clearly being like, do you know what, we're not going to get anything from this. If we do, then great, we get into a semi-final, but I'm not particularly putting anything on the line here.
Well, we're going to head straight through highlights. Not many to talk about. Theo Walcott missed a sitter in the 36th minute with a diving header when he was free, in the middle of the box. And then Arsenal took the lead 1-0. Danny Welbeck, 42nd minute. Gonzo, I always say to you, show me a goal, I'll show you a mistake. Where's the mistake in this one?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't even sure about the cross coming in, to be fair. But I mean, it was Reed's man, so you could blame Reed. Was it Ginge? Sorry, was it? No, it was Ginge. It was Ginge's man, wasn't it? It went over Ginge. And Ginge, I think Ginge mistimed his jump, or he was slightly out of position. But maybe it was Reed's man. Not so sure. It was a scuffed goal. I think the keeper maybe could have done more. I think the cross perhaps could have been stopped as well. I think there were 3 or 4 occasions when that goal possibly could have been stopped. I think it was Welbeck, wasn't it? I think he was surprised to get the chance. You know, when it sort of fell down and was allowed to trickle over. Basically, it was just poor. It was not in the manner that we've been defending under Moyes recently.
Charlie, what was your opinion of the goal? Was that a type of goal that summed up the whole match as 90 minutes?
Yeah, super scrappy, and he just gets in between Collins and Reed loses it. He tries to put his head in, but by that point, it's already past him. You can't do anything about it. Hart maybe could have done better, but again, that's to say it's any one player's particular fault is wrong, because it was a range of players' fault. There were so many different stages in which someone could have done something and no one did, and I think that typified our entire performance in that everyone basically was crap.
Yeah, I think you two have been kind to Joe Hart here. How the life of me, I cannot work out how he has not come for that. It wasn't a firm, low ball back into the area. It was a looped ball. When, as Gonzo said, went over Ginge. He's got Giroud on the ground next to him. Giroud doesn't leave the ground, so I'll let Ginge off here because his man does not move. So as far as he's concerned, his job's done. His man doesn't get the ball. Reed gets beat to by Welbeck. But how Joe Hart doesn't come out? It's in his bloody 6-yard box. How is he not coming out? He should have gone clattering through any player he needed to get a fist to that and get that ball out of that box. Chances are he would have got a free kick for it as well. As soon as someone touches Joe Hart, he gets a free kick for it. How Joe Hart is literally stood on the line watching that ball come into his area, and then it hits the ground, then it sort of gets shinned in past him. I don't know how he's... Joe Hart, for me, is shocking for that goal. Absolutely shocking. Half-time, 1-0, Arsenal. 60th minute, the referee missed the most obvious push in the world on Hernandez by Rob Holding. 62nd minute, Gonzo, this was our only chance of the game, wasn't it? Aaron Creswell's free kick. Not that was much to write about, but...
when was this chance we had? Yeah, I guess we did have a free kick game, and Hernandez lined up for it. Cresswell took it. Oh, it was a terrible free kick. Yeah.
The substitutions, Gonzo, they remind me of Bilic at Upton Park. He took off Cresswell and Hernandez and took on Sacco and Carroll. Now, this is what Bilic used to do. Oh, we're losing. fuck it, I'll just throw in some strikers. But the problem is, there's no game plan. The game plan didn't alter. There was no change in system. We continued to do one thing. That was just boot it. And it's all very well throwing bodies up front, but you're taking, well, you put an extra body up front, but you're taking that body from somewhere. I mean, in this case, took it from right wing back, so Rice had to go out there. Then Rice coming from the centre midfield. You didn't put anyone in there, so our centre midfield, not that it was dominating the game, opened up even more just to get another striker on. But the tactics didn't change, Gonzo.
Well, there was just no supply. There was a big gap between midfield and forwards anyway, which is, I think, is what we've seen as part of Moyes' tactics anyway. You'd think when Carroll's coming on and you change something, you get a supply line going. There was no supply line there at all. For me, Ayew was a poacher. It's just completely lost in the game today. He wasn't deployed as one. So even when those guys came on, what was Ayew supposed to be doing? I've no idea whatsoever. I don't just want to single him out. The deployment of Aaron Cresswell at right wing back. Obviously, I know he came off when Carroll came on, but he's so uncomfortable on his right foot. He kept on switching to go on to his left, which just doesn't give it any balance anyway. Also, it takes him out of that back three. He was the one player in the back three, as I highlighted in one of the previous shows, that can bring the ball out from defence. So immediately you've got you cut your balance out for someone that won't go down the right because you don't have a right back. You've cut out your passing opportunities because you've basically got three stoppers in the back who won't pass it. Plus the midfield are dysfunctional. As Charlie said, you've got a defender, a central defender playing central midfield, and Obiang was crap today as well. He's not the only one. I don't particularly want to single anyone out. And it just all added up to just this no supply line. And the supply line wasn't happening whether it was Chicharito was up front or whether it was Carroll and it was Sacco. It was terrible. And I'll tell you what's really terrible. I think he's let a lot of people down with his attitudes today. And I know we've had all this Moyes stuff and all the rest of it. I think we didn't take that at all seriously today. We didn't go for it. There was no ambition. And 7,000 fans have turned up for that today. And worse than 7,000 fans turning up, they weren't even allowed to drink. They've had to watch that game sober because they closed the bars down, Arsenal. But absolutely disgraceful.
Along came Andy Carroll. 3 seconds later, he gave away a free kick on Coquelin. Charlie, 82nd minute, we finally saw the introduction of Arnautovic, but was it the same thing again? Oh, we'll take off the centre mid, we'll put in an attacking player, and to be done with it, you know, we'll just have one centre midfielder on, we'll just throw everyone up front and hope that something happens.
It was weird because when we did bring on all those attacking players, I was having flashbacks to conversations we used to have about Bilic at Upton Park, just bringing all the attackers. And I think the difference was then is I was never concerned about us creating and going forward. We always seem to just lob everything forward, but actually go for it. We seem to have a plan. There was never a supply chain problem during that season. Whereas here, the entire game was just horrendously bad at getting the ball forward. It wasn't a fact that there weren't enough strikers on the pitch or anything like that. It was the fact we couldn't get the ball to the people who were on the pitch. That might not be his position, but ultimately him and Arnautovic's roles when Arnautovic played has been just to sprint onto balls and then play it. That's all it's been, or create something with it. He can do that. The problem was we weren't getting the ball anywhere near there. And so bringing on Arnautovic that late, it was like him just going, all right, might as well now. We might as well try for a little bit, which was kind of ridiculous. And it left Obiang as the only recognised midfielder. He was just standing there by himself. At times, Arnautovic would drop deep and stand next to him, but he's not exactly a defensive midfielder. He's not going to stop and break up play, is he? It was absurd. It was absurd, but at least he went for it for about 5 minutes, I guess.
Well, finish 1-0 Arsenal. So let's talk about the game and the sort of how seriously we took it, because I'm getting a bit more pissed off the more we can do this show, actually. Charlie, where's it gone wrong tonight then? Where has it gone wrong? Ultimately, also, it didn't look like we gave a jot.
I think almost everyone on the pitch had a bad performance. I think our midfield was dysfunctional. A lot of our long balls out were just completely and utterly aimless. It wasn't like when we play long balls out, usually at least it's getting near the vicinity of either Arnautovic or Antonio. This time there were balls and I could just see Hernandez just watching them float about 10 yards, 15 yards away from him. There was no accuracy to anything we did, and that was something that really plagued both our long balls and our midfield in general. I don't want to, as Gonzo said, I'm not particularly keen on picking anyone out in particular, but no one in that midfield really had a great passing game whatsoever. And the only out ball we had, the only attacking threat we had, seemed to be Masuaku. And if we're relying on a single left back to be our entire attacking output against Arsenal, then the fact that we lost 1-0 was probably nice.
Gonzo?
Yeah, I mean, it was there, perhaps not for the taking, but it was there to be brave. We could have been brave today. Arsenal put out a weak team. For them, they put out a weak team. They rested a lot of players there today. And we could have still rested some players and gone for it more. We didn't have to play like that. It's pointless, Hernandez being there. It is absolutely pointless. I don't know why he was purchased, because he didn't suit the previous manager and he doesn't suit this one at all. Hernandez got to play in a team where you keep possession and you give him service. If there's no service, there's no point in playing, because he's got nothing else to his game. He just loses the ball. He can't hold it up. He's not. I think he's even lost a yard of pace since he's been with us, to be perfectly honest with you. But anyway, we go on individuals there. I thought, you know this, I said it before. I've said it consistently. Queen is not ready yet. I mean, maybe will turn out to be a lovely player. I hope he is. He's not ready yet. I've said it. I mean, guys saying it for weeks. Why he was selected to play there, I've no idea. And I also think it's unfair on players like Rice as well. Rice is going to be a really good player. I mean, you know, Rice will play 300-400 games in the top division. Really have a really good career, no doubt about it. But it's not fair to play him there. It's just not fair to do it to the players. Not fair to do it to the fans. And it was tediously boring. It was tedious. It was. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't even there, but I'm thinking I've got to watch the rest of this because we're doing a show afterwards. But you know, mate, I was thinking actually, I've got a episode of the Piggy Blinders to catch up on. I mean, anything was terrible. It was boring. And if he cannot serve up that type of football, he cannot keep playing like that. And what I want to do is on a cup of tea, because we're doing a cup of tea tomorrow. I would like to discuss the players that we need to bring in January to stop this inability that we have to pass the ball.
Yeah, well, first of all, Arsenal didn't even have to get out of second gear. I don't even think they wanted. I think they were almost trying to lose the game at some points. They didn't even have to try to win that tonight. That's what's embarrassing. We always say we don't mind getting beat, as long as the other team have to give 100% and play well. Tonight, they didn't even have to bother to do that. I can't even remember who half the Arsenal team were. That's how ineffective they were. But tonight, David Moyes has got this completely wrong. He's got this so wrong. It's unbelievable. He's set up to defend and to take a draw in a cup game for some reason. And he's setting up to defend against a superior team, but we weren't up against us. Well, we probably were to an extent against a superior team, but didn't have to be. If you had put out your first 11 there, it wouldn't be a superior team you're up against. He had 2 attacking midfielders to choose from, Ayew and Arnautovic, 3 strikers, Sakho, Cow and Hernandez. Now, so far, well, he's got Antonio if he really wanted to as well, but we'll leave him out because we're all in agreement that. So, what's been working? Pace, holding the ball up, counter-attacking football. So he picks 2 poachers. How is he? And he's stuck to the same game plan. I don't get how he's possibly decided to pick these 2. Who's he got on the bench? Sakho, who can actually run the channel and get in behind defences. Carroll, a target man. And Arnautovic, who's in the form of his life, who can do both of those things. He leaves them 3 out, brings in 2 little poachers who go down whenever they get touched, and expect them to do the job that we've seen big athletic people doing. It's unbelievable that he thinks that we keep talking about how Bilic used to take square pegs and put them in round holes. That's exactly what he's done tonight up front. He's done that tonight. Obiang was the worst player on the pitch, in my opinion. It sounds harsh, but his passion was atrocious tonight. However, he had 2 18-year-olds either side of him to look after. He did have that. Now, I'm not going to pick on Quina or Rice here. I thought Rice actually played really well. I thought when he went right back, I thought he did a lot better than Creswell did, and that sort of says, well, maybe you should have put him there. However, Moyes didn't have a lot of options. If you didn't want to play Zabaleta, there's no one else you can really play at right wing back unless he goes into the youth. But this is then where it comes to the problem. Well, change it. Don't play 5 at the back if you can't play Creswell. If you're going to have to play Creswell there. And like Gonzo said, Creswell should have been in at the left centre-back, or Bon as centre-back, and it should have been between Ginge and Reid to play in that final third and said them 2 there. And you know what he should have done? Just played Zabaleta. He should have put out his first team. If he wanted that tonight, I'm actually pissed off that we are prioritising our 19th league fixture at home to Newcastle over a game where we're 90 minutes away from semi-final of a cup. I don't get it. No one will convince me otherwise. I just do not get why this game on Saturday is priority over tonight. I just don't get it. Charlie, do you get it? Do you get why we're prioritising the league over there?
it doesn't make sense from our perspective, but you have to remember our manager's been disgraced 3 times in a row and he's on here on a 6-month contract. So obviously he's going to pick what's best for him. He's not here to do West Ham any favours. Let's not get it twisted. Just because we've had a few good results, let's not forget who's in charge. It's David Moyes. He's here because he's disgraced and he needs to somehow prove himself as a manager again. Beating Arsenal getting to a semi-final of a League Cup would be good for him, but ultimately everyone's looking at us as this team who we're going to go down. If he changes that and brings us to anywhere close to mid-table, everyone's going to go, "Oh, David Moyes, what an absolute legend he is," in the media, and that's going to do better for him. So it's crap. It's absolute crap, because the fact is that we've lost a game in which, honestly, like Gonzo said, I wouldn't say it was there for the taking, but the fact is they put out a weakened team. If we were a little bit adventurous, we probably could have got at them. We made both of their centre-backs look like they were flipping Arsenal's invincibles, when in reality, I don't think they barely had any touches of the ball. It's just unfortunate that the person who's in charge of us right now will not put any sort of effort into this, because it doesn't benefit him whatsoever.
Gonzo, individual time. I know you two, funny enough, you two during the show have said, I don't want to pick out individual names. Well, tough, pick out 1 or 2 individual names for praise or criticism. It's up to yourself.
I mean, I think I have. I think I've tried to say I'm not going to pick out individuals, and I've gone on and mentioned quite a few of them. We'll leave the young lads, because I flashed up my team in the preview, and so that's what I didn't think. Anyway, I just don't know what's. Obviously, Moyes doesn't fancy him. I can see why Moyes doesn't fancy him. He is not going to fit into Moyes' system at all. He's a poacher. He's never has been. I knew that when we bought him from Swansea, that we spent the money on him that was earmarked for a striker. Now, sometimes he played on the left for Swansea, sometimes he played as a striker with Gomez. Was it Gomez? They sort of dovetailed a little bit. If not, but we seem to have consistently either tried to play him as a winger or sort of behind the striker. It's not in there. And I'm really worried, actually. We're quite lucky that one of Lanzini's bands was eaten up by this game in many respects, because I tell you what, without him, although he took a bit of stick in the last game before, without him, we can barely pass the ball. And actually, I'll put Noble in that equation as well. We are in dire need of some midfield, people that can pass. Obiang, yeah, as you say, was absolutely terrible. Cresswell was like a fish out of water. Less said about Hart, the better, really. I don't want to be nasty to him, because it's just not worked out. And Adrian is by far our best goalkeeper. Chicharito, I mean, he was poor. He was really poor, really, really poor. As I say, I don't think the system suits him. I think everyone has got an excuse and mitigation, and that's where the manager comes in, for all those players to be poor. And you can actually, I said I wouldn't mention Queen as well. The manager shouldn't have played him. The manager shouldn't have played Chicharito like that with no support. The manager done nobody any favours today, really didn't. And I just wonder how much effort and how G'd up and how fired up those players were today. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I'll tell you what, though, a lot of people have been watching our videos for however long we've been doing it. And I'd normally try and keep quite balanced if we've lost. I really do. Sometimes I'll even, try and laugh my way through adversity. But I'm a bit grumpy today. I've got to say I'm quite annoyed by all the effort and the lack of performance. I'm just annoyed. I am actually annoyed by today.
I'm pissed off. It's just what it stands for. We don't take the cup seriously at West Ham anymore. Is that what it stands for? I don't like it. The cup for me is the be all and end all every single season. We were 90 minutes away from a semi-final. I just don't get it. But Charlie, individuals, is there 1 or 2 you would like to pick out for praise or criticism? It's up to yourself.
Yeah, I think that when Gonzo says not to talk about young players, I think it's important that when they get the chances, they're going to make mistakes. And Keena tonight reminded me a little bit of Alex Song when he first came back after injuries under Bilic. He was constantly, when he had the ball, looking for sort of glory through balls, looking for that perfect, defense splitting pass that he just didn't need to do it. And in the Premier League, or against the Premier League team, I should say, you're not going to be able to pull those off consistently. Like some players can, David Silva can, Kevin De Bruyne can, but he's at that level where he's not going to be able to. And tonight was going to be a really sharp learning curve for him, whatever happened. So I don't particularly want to criticize him because he's made those mistakes. He'll learn from them. He'll move on. I think Declan Rice played really well, like you say. Despite the fact he's young, he's come in and not looked out of place whatsoever, and that's a huge, huge credit to him. Again, mistakes will be made, but he was fantastic. I think Winston Reid had a bad game. First half especially, I thought he was really poor. Like I say, Obiang was just pointless. Hernandez did nothing but fall over for 90 minutes. Not entirely his fault, but it was the case. I think the biggest criticism is just David Moyes. I think he set up to defend and do nothing really else, and that's a huge indictment on him.
Yeah, the thing is, there's always, as much as I want to criticise David Moyes, the fact is we're probably going to go win on Saturday, and he's prioritised the league. And if we get 3 points on Saturday, you can't argue that his position is justified. The problem is I don't agree with his priority. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I don't agree with what he's prioritising. He's prioritising the 3 points on Saturday. I thought Ogbonna actually played well tonight. I think he still impresses me, Ogbonna. I thought Masuaku played well. Ginge was a bit iffy in the first half. Didn't really have much to do in the second. Reid was a bit sketchy. I thought Creswell, do you know something? I can't really criticise Creswell. I know you aren't really criticising him because he did what he could do. But the problem was every time he went forward, he had to cut back, and that's just killed the attacks altogether. Obiang, I thought he was really, really poor in that centre mid, but he had two 18-year-olds side him. Quina, you know what? I'm not going to criticise an 18-year-old because I ban the drum as much as anyone else to see youth. And when we see them, I really, really do not. And the one thing that impressed me, actually, he didn't go hiding on that pitch tonight. It would have been very easy for him to try and stand beside an Arsenal player and let Obiang do the work, or let Rice, who's got a lot more senior appearances and game time, let them do the work and try and glide through the 90 minutes unnoticed. But he was happy to get on the ball. He was happy to try things. It didn't always work. But, as you have said, he'll learn from it. But it's just the strike force did not suit this game at all. It didn't suit our tactics at all. And, well, we're out of the cup now. Gonzo, is there any final words you'd like to say?
No, I'm going to gather my thoughts though, and I think we're going to do a cup of tea tomorrow night. So I think we'd have to discuss it a little bit more then, and maybe get some questions in. I think on the bigger picture, because it will be very easy if we do win on Saturday to gloss over this. And whilst I do think, I will discuss it then. We'll discuss it then.
Yeah, Charlie. What about yourself? Any final thoughts from yourself?
Yeah, I'm not criticizing him for having a different priority than me, but I think on a very basic tactical level, we know why we've been effective for the last couple of weeks. And so he's decided to rotate the squad because whatever, that's fine. And the way he has rotated it has meant there was a hell of a lot of pressure on Keena to do the offensive actions to get that defensive link pass almost, and he's relied on the wrong people. I think he's put his trust in the wrong way. He's set up incorrect, and that's my biggest criticism of him today. Not that he's prioritized something else, fine, whatever, but that Cresswell meant he couldn't basically get forward because he can't do anything on his right foot. Keena is young and still getting his game time, and then Masuaku's the only one there left to be able to do absolutely anything. So that's my biggest criticism of him today, as opposed to the priorities.
Yeah, well, we move on to the Newcastle game. As Gonza said, we have our cup of tea tomorrow night, Wednesday night at 8:30, where we'll discuss mainly the transfer window, which opens in 12 days as we speak. Hey, my favourite time of the year. Then we'll be back on Thursday night with the preview of the Newcastle game. Then we'll have all our regular weekend content. We do have a video that went up last night. Overnight, it went up. It was a Christmas gift guide. If you haven't seen it already, go check it out. It's on part of your screen here. Subscribe if you're new. Drop a like on. Let us know what you think, because I put a poll on Twitter the other day asking what took priority for people, Newcastle or this game. And 70% of people said Newcastle. So I'm well aware that we're sort of in the minority in the 30% taking cup over the league, but it's just the way I believe in it anyway. Gonzo and Charlie sort of agree with me by the looks of it. But let us know what you think at home in the comments below or on our phone at hammerschat.com, and we'll catch you tomorrow night.